It doesn't look like there's much. It looks like there's some serious latency. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it. Chop it up a bit. Chop it up. All right. Welcome, Wizard, Warrior, Wanderer, Wayfarer alike. I'm making an instant noodle for my daughter because she loves instant noodle. And chilling like a villain, able and willing. How y'all doing out in Happy Land? Okay, so here's the situation. This is the breakdown. Welcome, Wizard, Warrior, Wanderer, Wayfarer, and Wildcat alike, wherever you are, whoever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission. I was cruising around on the YouTubes, the Tubey Tubes, and I was looking for something fun to check out. And I've noticed a tendency recently from the algorithm. Like, there ain't shit on YouTube, it seems like these days. Like, so much boring stuff. Um, the last cool thing I got to watch was AJ at the Y Files. He did a cool video a couple days ago. What is this? Oh, God, that stinks. I don't know what that is. But anyway, I'm putting it in there because it's a part of the flavor package for the noodles. So hopefully it turns out all right. Occasionally, you just want to eat a fast noodle, you know what I mean? You ain't got nothing going on. I hope you guys are enjoying my butt. That's what you're going to get right now until I rearrange myself. Greetings and welcome, uh, Wanderer, Wayfarer. If there's someone out there in Happy Land, why don't you send me a message? Let me know how you're doing. Hey, it's free gift from God. Later, man. What's up? How you doing, brother? You still have the wrench of a moderator. Isn't that kind of cool? Whatever power that may grant you, I don't know. I think you can. I think you can boot people from the chat. That's pretty awesome, huh? Do you ever eat instant noodle, man? Do you like your noodly noodles? Noodly. Cthulhu has risen, man. That's what noodles are all about. So I was reading through the new Cthulhu from the recent Weird on a Mobi ebook platform, and I downloaded myself a copy of the Simon Necronomicon, which I haven't read since I was 13. When I think that's when its second printing came out. Maybe not. 77 was when it was first printed, but they had a second printing, I think, in the 80s. Yeah, mushrooms are good. I like mushroom. I think this one's a mushroom flavored instant noodle. And so I was looking through the Simon Necronomicon, and I thought it's a pretty good basic format for the new esoteric order of Dagon, Eastern Star Division, of which I am the Grand Pope, Grand Wizard. I'm the Pope of the Eastern Division of the new esoteric order of Dagon. Not the old one, but the new one. All right, maybe that's why my phone is so janky, is because it's low on power. I don't even know if it's maintaining a charge right now. Yeah, I'd like to have some mushrooms, man. I haven't had any good mushrooms in a long, long time. Been a long time, been a long time. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed mushrooms. I gotta take this noodle over to my daughter at her table. I gotta cook some food, bro. What do you want? Will you eat if I make spaghetti? Because Amber wants this guy. This noodle. I'd rather have spaghetti. I'll do it in a little while, though, man. I'm asked out. Seems like for some reason on. Can you guys still hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Amber, your noodles on your table. All right. Can you guys still hear me? What's happening? Are you at the Tool concert right now, man? That's crazy, fucking. That's crazy talk. Do you have Taco Bell? We don't have real Taco Bell in China. That's a fun question. Taco Bell came to Shanghai, and people said there was a Taco Bell down in Shanghai. But I went down there, man, and their Taco Bell wasn't real. Like, they have tortillas and shit, and they make tacos. They kind of have the menu items, but they don't have any cheese. And then Taco Bell came to Beijing, I think, like right either before or after COVID, like a really bad timing. And they opened like, I think, three cafe, like not real Taco Bells. It says like Taco Bell Cafe, where they don't really like have any tables inside. And it was mostly just designed for takeout. And then number one is super expensive, like a single like two taco combo, and it comes with like fries or something instead of chips. Was like 80 kwai, like $10. And so I went in it and it was really poorly managed and the food tasted like shit. And I don't even think it was like real meat in the meat sauce. Like I think it was Beyond Meat or something. And there was no cheese and their lettuce wasn't fresh and it wasn't like, and they just put like a little bitty bit in a tortilla and then like gave it to you and it was like 80 kwai, which is pretty big money for a lunch or something. And I ate it and I was like, wow, this is the worst Taco Bell experience I've ever had in my entire life. Like Taco Bell is generally pretty bad anyway, but if they were up to like a basic standard, if they were more like Del Taco, like they would load it up, like I mean lettuce, what does lettuce cost? Nothing. So if they put lettuce and cheese, it's like how do you have a fucking Mexican restaurant without cheese? And then use the decent quality meat like Romor or whatever, like the meat, like the taco meat and and refried beans and stuff, then it would be okay. But like they fucked it all up, man. They didn't get it at all. And I think they were franchise Taco Bells. Do I think the subconscious mind is Satan? No, I don't think so. Like in my own personal opinion, I think those things like Satan could dwell in your subconscious, definitely. But I think those aspects of the human being are separate and different from things like I mean, sure, we could look at the gods as archetypes, but I don't think so. I think man stands apart from now. Of course, there's regular man, right, who might be infiltrated by lower demoniacal forces quite easily, and then there's the magician. But man in general stands apart. I mean, as a part of, but at the same time, separate and unique to himself, right? So, like in the division of the creation of the cosmos, I mean, where would Satan fit in? Is he Leviathan? Is he Cthulhu? Is who is Shaitan? Is he some Shamash? Um, it's hard to say exactly to pinpoint, but in the division of heaven and earth, where man resides between heaven and earth, then the Satan's realm is it's beneath, it's below, it's the infernal realm, it's below the earth. And so man standing between heaven and earth, and maybe part of his dominion is in the skies too, right? But there is a division. And I would think that demonic forces like Shaitan or Shamash or I don't know whatever you want to call this, Lucifer, right? And Ahriman, those things are different from man and they're not to be associated with conscious, subconscious, or unconscious. So for those demoniacal forces, I would say they reside at and below the earth sphere. So I wouldn't say it's the subconscious, I would say it's the unconscious aspects. Yeah, so still within the realm of man to some extent, but not in the subconscious. Subconscious, I would probably attribute more to the realm of Ahriman. Maybe not. Man, that's a tough question. I haven't made a correspondence in that manner. Um, for me, uh, the these things are they're though they correspond and are associated and interrelated, they're a part of a whole, so they can shift positions. Like the E can be in the mind, the intention, right? The magician's will, the magician's intent, are different from the magician's will, of course, right? So intention and will, these are the primary tools of the magician, right? You use your intent and work through your will to bring things into the realm of manifestation in from one aspect of the magical studies. But that E can arise from the lower Dantian, the infernal realm, like a sexual desire, and then it's meant to be brought up the tree of life, the spinal column, the tree of life in man, and then projected out through the third eye, the triangle of art, right? And then received at the middle Dantian. So, in a single breath of the microcosmic orbit, you'll move the E along the microcosmic orbit, right? And so these things penetrate every aspect, every level of man's being. and it makes us different and unique, uniquely positioned within the cosmos, depending on your cosmology, to things like demons and angels, right? Demons, of course, we in the traditions that I follow are placed beneath you in the Qliphoth, the shells, and then the angelic forces are placed outside of you in the celestial sphere. But they all try to vie and compete within the prime material plane where man resides. So yeah, I wouldn't classify it as such. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that Satan represents the subconscious mind of man, but it could be illustrated that way. I've never thought of it in those terms before. Interesting. Because it is a trinity, right? You have the Christ consciousness, which would be heart centered awareness. So that for me would be the seat of the subconscious. And then you have the Luciferic and Ahrimanic forces oscillating as well. So there is a trinity there. Yeah, so maybe Lucifer is. Then with that said, like the way you worded that, I would say that Lucifer is the conscious mind, and the Christ consciousness is the subconscious, and Ahriman is the unconscious, the infernal operations. Can you still hear me? Bluetooth headset just died. And I always find that interesting. Like when I want and start to do a live stream, like everything starts to die. The phone dies, the headset dies. That's probably an Ahrimanic force right there, Ahrimanic entity, because they don't want, they want all those other people out there getting the attention. They don't want me using the gray matter and the aether webs to transmit my message and have fun. They just want me being a passive consumer of all the shit they create. Yeah, there. Well, see, that's an interesting question there, and I would say that yes, the no, that well, that the brass vessel of Solomon is the human body, the ding of the magician. If you cultivate yourself and make yourself able to manipulate internal alchemical forces, then yes, the Ars Goetia are all of the spirits or intelligences that can reside within the subconscious, but they're not all always there within every single individual. And it's the magician who sets up the brass cauldron and traps the 72 demons of the Goetia, right? Or intelligences and spirits and stuff. But the layman, the average individual layman, would not have access to any type of intelligence like that, right? It's something you have to study and work on. And you actually have to go through initiation and do magical practice, right? You have to work with your magic circle and your chi and stuff, and you have to figure all these things out. Otherwise, yeah, like schizophrenics, they may, be in contact with some of these like spirits using them, right? But they don't have any control over it. Yeah, is okay because Asmodeus, aka Satan, is the king of hell. Yeah, then I would say with that as a reference point, right? Because here we're just using metaphor. Um, then yeah, then I think Lucifer would be the illuminating intelligence, right? The guy who actually is within to some extent is within the temple of heaven. He rises to the top and makes decisions at um, a more intellectual level, maybe. No, I wouldn't say intellectual. Um, but yeah, that would put Lucifer as commander in chief at the the palace of Dagon, whereas Christ for me resides in the heart because it's an emotional human connection and it's about love, and love is the law. So the primary guardian angel that you want to cultivate is the center Dantian. And then the oscillation of the upper and lower dantians, they provide the catalyst of energy that is the trans alchemical, the transformation of lower energies into higher energies, right? And then they're stored in the palace of the Christ child, right? The center dantian. And these don't directly correspond with chakras. I don't use the chakra system. So if you are a chakra guy, then your understanding is going to be a little bit different. Can you still hear me? Or we still have audio? Yeah, no cheese for the Chinese, man. That's fucking crazy horse shit, man, in my opinion. They're getting a little more into it now, right? But they don't get it, right? Like they don't understand cheese. What am I gonna do here? Am I gonna cook these guys some? It's kind of what it's like 5 o'clock p.m. Oh man, my battery died. My battery's dying. Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, okay, good. Yeah, good. We'll hang out for another 20 minutes if you're around, man. If you're around or a square, a squaw. Yeah. So it's Saturday here, which is a Sabbath day for me, and I usually try not to do any work. Like it's an entire day of reading and rest and meditation and nothing related to work, right? Um, yeah, we do have pizzas. There is cheese here, man. There are Italian restaurants and alleyways. What does alleyways got to do with it? That's a weird off the wall connection between pizzas and alleyways. Do you have pizza and alleyways? I got a little lost, man. Anyway, how's Tool? Are you still at Tool? You said you're already back. So you took the train to New York and saw a Tool concert and then took the train back. That's a fascinating journey, man. And so have you been up the entire time since I last talked? Let me check the time and see how that would work. How would that work exactly? You're in New York, so it's like, oh yeah, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, man, and you're back now. How was the show? Did you have a good fun at a Tool show? I don't really know Tool, man. I've never really listened to any of their music. It was kind of, I think it kind of came after my generation. Like I was already kind of out of rock at that point. I was getting more into jazz, and like I had spent like an entire decade just listening to Irish folk tunes. So yeah, 3:40 a.m. man, you better hit the hay at some point, huh? I don't guess you got to work tomorrow, huh? Saturday, so you could sleep in on Saturday. I hope because you don't want to fucking go to work after a Tool concert with zero sleep. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, so I never really listened to Tool. I never got into them. I was kind of out of the rock scene at that point, I think. And then again, I don't even really know. I'll look them up on Wikipedia though and see when they were popular. Tool. The first thing it gave me was a actual Tool, the American rock band. Okay, so they are Americans. That's part of it. I didn't know that. Tool's an American rock band from LA. Oh, they formed in 1990. Wow, really? I'd never heard of them in the 90s. I guess they weren't like super popular. Maybe they were. I don't know. What the fuck? What do I know? If they formed in 90 and they're still performing, that's 30 years. Danny Carr, so they're LA dudes just like me. Performed World War II and produced albums. Tommy. Okay, it doesn't say what genre of music they are. Genre: alternative metal, art rock, post metal. Yeah, see, it's post metal. Yeah, I checked out the videos in the Discord. Progressive metal and progressive rock. To date, the band has released 5 studio albums, 1 EP. Yeah, I was graduating high school in '92, man. I was still kind of into rock then, a little bit, I guess. I was kind of getting into jazz and ska, though. It emerged as a heavy metal sound from his first studio album, Undertow, and became a dominant act in the alternative metal movement and released their follow up, Anima, in '96. The efforts to combine musical experimentation, visual arts, and a message personal evolution continued with Lateralis, 10,000 Days, and Fear Inoculum. Due to Tool's incorporation of visual arts and very long and complex releases, the band is generally described as a style transcending act and part of the progressive psychedelic rock or art rock. Okay, interesting. Tool. During the 80s, each of the future members moved to Los Angeles. Okay, so they weren't originally LA dudes. Maybe Carol King. Carol King, he sounds familiar. Didn't he play with another band? Carol King. Is that a dude or a chick, man? Um, Carol King. Oh my. Okay, Carol King was from New York. And he played. Is that a dude? It looks like a chick. Carol King. Carol King is an American singer-songwriter and musician, been active. James Maynard Keenan, and one of the most successful female songwriters of the later half of the 20th century. Oh, okay. Manhattan, Brooklyn College, Great Depression, what absolute pitch, career, Carol King, Little Eva of the Cash Box. In the 70s, Carol King was Tapestry. Okay, James Maynard Keenan. Yeah, so some of them were from LA. He's in a perfect circle, and he was in Perfect Circle and Pussifier. Yeah, and more stuff I've never heard of, man. Again, I really didn't pay much attention after the 90s. Like, I guess I got my indoctrination in the 80s, and then I just kind of paid attention to the guys that I learned about in the 80s. By the time the new guys started to emerge in the 90s, like they were already considered, I don't know, by my generation, to be like to be different, different enough that, it would take time to learn their music and shit. And like, you're already in high school going to college, you kind of give up on studying too much music unless you're a music major. I got into literature, so I really didn't pay attention to music in college that much. Ween, I got into some Ween when I was in college. Ween, those guys, because a college guy introduced me to them. Otherwise, I would have just kept listening to Slayer and Iron Maiden and gangster rap, NWA and Dr. Dre. Like, I already found guys that I enjoyed, and if I was going to listen to music, then I would just listen. I wasn't introducing myself to much new music, again, other than jazz and Irish folk music. And I actually listened to a lot of Taoist incantations during that part of my life, and just memorized and recited incantations from old grimoires and stuff. So I was deep in my magic and kung fu. So Ween was from New Hope, Pennsylvania. They formed in 1984, and they're better known in their respective stage names, Gene and Dean Ween. They're an alternative rock band. Yeah, see, so again, 84, Godween Satan. But they released most of their albums in the 90s, Pure Guava, Push the Little Daisies, 12 Country Greats, White Pepper 2000. That's probably the last Ween album I really listened to. And it looks like they didn't make another album until 2007. Yeah, so I was already in China at that point. Oh, really? New Hope? You could go by and check out. Then yeah, you're in that whole area, man. You could go check out Lovecraft's hometown, right? Like, he's not far from you. You could go pay homage. Have you been to Lovecraft's burial spot? Man, you might pick up some fucking demons there. 18 miles from you, huh? New Hope. Oh wow, my VPN just failed, and I got blocked from even checking Wikipedia. Yeah, Ween, they're pretty gay, man. They like girls too, but I think they were pretty much just gay lovers. Where does he live? Lovecraft is buried in his hometown, which was Providence, Rhode Island. He spent most of his life in New England, and I believe the Lovecraft Museum is also in Providence, Rhode Island. Let me see. I'll look it up and see if it's got a location for it. Marriage in New York. He was in New York for a while, returned to Providence and death. Later in ours, Robert Gower wrote a letter. Meanwhile, Lovecraft secretly producing as a result of the Great Depression. In late 1936, he witnessed the publication of The Shadow over Innsmouth. Howard, so his friend Robert E. Howard. Oh, okay. Yeah, they were pretty gay, man. Like, I was backstage with Ween a couple of times, and one of my buddies hung out with them a little bit, and they were sweethearts, nice guys, but I think they were probably, I don't know if they were brothers or if they were a gay couple. But I'm pretty sure they were gay. But it was still at a time like when you didn't like openly come out that you were gay. Yeah, like you stayed in the closet back then. even the 80s and 90s, and I think even into the early 2000s, if you were gay, you kind of kept it under your hat, like you might enjoy it in like there were gay bars and shit. You could hang out, and you didn't receive a lot of blowback at that point, but it was still not really considered cool to be gay, like it is now. Now like now you should not only be gay, but you should promote other people to be gay too. Back then, you could still get your ass kicked for being too gay. Um, People had a lot of bigotry towards that. Homosexuality, it's deemed as a mental illness, and decadence, and debauchery, all of those things, which some still view it as that way. But man love, I don't know. It's You do whatever you want. I'm not into it myself. I still think it's gay to be gay. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna give it my vote. It doesn't receive my stamp of approval. I'm reading online that they're homophobic. No, I don't think so, man. I mean, maybe they had some homophobic lyrics because of the environment that they grew up in, like, and they're just pandering to their audience. Okay, yeah, it's not really something I don't really care much about gays enough to look them up. But yeah, a lot of gays and magic too, right? Like I've told you that I received initiation in the Golden Dawn, but I was living in Alabama at the time, and those dudes, like, that's the only way they could be gay, like magical orders just was a beacon to gay people because they felt like they could receive protection through magic, and that they could like engage in magic, and then once everybody's in their robes, they could kind of trick them in to fagging out with them. And I was like, no, I'm not down for this, bro. I'm practicing magic for magic's sake, not to be gay. What the fuck is that? How does that have anything to do with it? And so yeah, they tried to drug me up, like roofie me and get me in some gay orgies and shit. And I wasn't down. I was like, so after I figured that out about their Golden Dawn group, and I'm not saying that's with all Golden Dawn groups, that's just particularly the one I got involved with. I kind of thought it left a bad taste in my mouth towards Golden Dawn, and I was like, this is just a bunch of faggots. And then I wondered for some time if like all mystery tradition dudes were just like, you know, using magic to hide the fact that they were having gay orgies. And I found out, no, that's not in fact true. But there is quite a bit of brotherly love in the magical orders. And like, we didn't even have that much in California, like magical orders gathered for magical purposes. They didn't do it to hide the fact that they were having gay orgies or something like that. But other places I went, that's what was going on. And yeah, so like then from then on, you were always a little suspicious of people who were like overly gothic, or like like pushing it too far and wearing makeup and stuff like this. It's like, are you just using the occult so that you can be gay? It's like that's not the same thing, man. Like those are totally different ballparks, in my opinion. But maybe it's a part of confronting their shadow and their anima, right? Like they want to really embrace the inner feminine, and so that you get out there, balls to the wall, and just gobble a bunch of gobble goo, gobble a bunch of goo until you feel purged of it. Or maybe like you get into a real loving relationship. I just don't see what the point is. It doesn't have a biological purpose. Maybe it serves a spiritual purpose for them. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to speculate because it's not really my thing. I'll leave that to the LGBTQ. That's their forte, man. That's their forte. I can't find it where his museum is, but I'm pretty sure that the Lovecraft Museum is in um, Providence, Rhode Island. Don't know how hard would it be for you to get there. That might be right in your area, huh? Probably just a little train ride. Well, this has turned into kind of a fun little exploration through many different things here on the live stream. It's good to see you, man. 4 a.m. I hope you're having fun out there in Happy Land. And again, guys, don't like. I have friends that are gay. I've even got black friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really though. I don't have any friends and anymore. But throughout my lifetime, I have. You know, I've met people, and again, I just don't really get it. Like some people think that I'm gay. Like when I was in the comedy scene, a lot of the other dudes that were like going in that direction or like gay themselves or something would like they said that my gaydar made them made their that I made their gaydar tingle, and they would ask, try to maybe put the moves on me, and I'm like, man, I'm not. We can be friends, but you're already making me feel a little bit, uncomfortable. And it's like, oh, that's homophobia. And it's like, no, it's not, man. I'm not scared of you. But what I feel is a kind of disinterest towards your lifestyle, and as a result, because it's so deeply rooted in the sexual energy, that it's the way I was raised and stuff. I guess I don't know. It feels aberrant to me, and not even aberrant. Like I could see chalking out a magical circle and summoning a demon into the triangle of art sooner than I would fagging out. It's beyond me. So there's my full admission. And maybe that's what they mean by homophobia. And maybe I do suffer from some homophobia, but is it really suffering? Am I really suffering from it? Or is it just it's a learned type of thing, but it goes beyond that. Like there's a natural inclination that seems to be a deviation, and in some species of mammalian hierarchies, they won't tolerate it. Like they'll, no, and again, I'm not going to get into it because I'm not a scientist on the matter, and there's enough great minds out there who speak to it that I don't need to. So, maybe it's a kind of neophobia, right? Like if you haven't tried it, then what do you don't you might not know what you're missing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Lovecraft's fiction reveals his own ambivalent views regarding the nature of knowledge. Yeah, so I was trying to look for it, but the central theme of Lovecraft's corpus is cosmicism. Cosmicism is literary philosophy that argues that humanity is an insignificant force in the universe. Now, generally speaking, yes, humanity in the life of a single human being is, but the magician is different. The magician is a cosmic force. The magician is the one who takes on the great work and becomes a significant force in the universe. He said human beings are often subject to powerful beings and other cosmic forces, but these forces are not so much malevolent as they are indifferent toward humanity. Yeah, so if you awaken the elder gods, you had better be prepared as a magician. He believed in a meaningless, mechanical, and uncaring universe that humans could never fully understand. There's no allowance for beliefs that could not be supported scientifically beyond the wall of sleep. So it says that he did not fully incorporate it into his fiction until 5 years later in Dagon. And Dagon was written, no, Dagon was written in 1923, if I'm correct. They're placing it at 1926, which I believe is incorrect. It was written in July 1917, but I think it was published. Yeah, it was published in Weird Tales in 1923. It's considered by many to be one of Lovecraft's most forward looking stories. Plot: the story is a testament of a tortured, morphine addicted man who relates an incident that occurred during his service as an officer during World War One. In the unnamed narrator's account, his cargo ship is captured by the Imperial German Sea Raider. By an Imperial German Sea Raider. Once I sought a celebrated Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god, but soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries. Yeah, so Dagon, that's it's been 100 years since the release of Dagon from the mind of Lovecraft, and that brings us full circle, man, for the esoteric order of Dagon. Other greats, of course, the whole mythos figures in, but Dagon is in Hebrew, it's Dagon. Dagon is Sumerian, has and Phoenician, was a god worshipped in ancient Syria across the middle of the Euphrates, with primary templates located in Tutul and Turka, though many attestations of his cult come from cities such as Mari and Emar. A large number of names, both masculine and feminine, attest that he was a popular deity and he was worshipped further east in Mesopotamia. Many rulers regarded him as the god capable of granting them kingship over the western areas. Attestations of Dagon from the coastal areas are much less frequent. Interesting. So, being a sea god, he wasn't even worshipped on the coast. Dagon is a word, considers it possible that the god's name derives from the root cloudy and interprets as a sign that he originally was a weather god. However, the notion of Dagon being a weather god is rejected by most researchers. Divine genealogy and syncretism. No known texts deal with the parentage or creation of Dagon. His wife, Shalash, while well attested to in Cthulhu and elsewhere, she is seemingly absent in the sources pertaining to Dagon's cult in Terka. Their children, Hadad and possibly Habat, who attested to alongside Dagon and Shalash in a morning ritual from the Aleppo. Dagon was always viewed as the father of the gods and only became father of the weather god under Hurrian influence. He also points out that there is no indication that they were closely connected outside of Babylonian, especially in parts of Syria. Dagon, Enlil, and Kumar Arbi. In Mesopotamia, Dagon was equated with Enlil due to their shared role as father of gods. This equation was eventually codified by the god Anum, which additionally equated with their spouses with each. However, the two parts of this equation was viewed as the primary god varied. In Mari, it was Dagon who was received Enlil's epithets, and in Emar, the logographic writing, a shortened version of Enlil's epithet Kurgal, the Great Mountain, stood for Dagon's name in the late Bronze Age. There you have it. All right, guys, I got to make some foods, and I just wanted to tune in and chit chat for a little while. I didn't expect for it to go so far out onto a tangent, but Dagon's character is difficult to study in comparison to that of gods who held a comparable position in Mesopotamia, such as Enlil or Marduk, due to the lack of mythical narratives or hymns about him, and comparatively small number of other documents, though researchers were nonetheless able to determine some of his functions. So Dagon, yeah, Lord of the Offspring. He's the man, man. He's the guy that is at the head of the throne. I'll leave you with this, Wanderer. Welcome. If it was your first time, don't let it be your last time. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. All that happy horseshit. Check me out on www.buymeacoffee.com/. Frank Monday. Put a little something, something in the tip jar to help support my work. I love y'all, good looking sex people. Stay well out in Happy Land, and I'll see you in the abodes of the future. Until then, good magic ad astra per aspera.